Welcome to the Franchise Woman podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships forged. I'm Rebecca Monet, CEO and Chief Scientist at Zoracle Profiles, along with my co-host, community advocate, speaker, author, and entrepreneur, Tracy Kawa. We have a special guest today with us, Megan Rosen. Megan is Chief Development Officer for Next Brands, a family-owned strategic manager and growth accelerator for food franchise brands. Next Brands aims to bring impact-focused food brands to local communities with a seasoned leadership team comprised of individuals with decades of experience in construction, business development, franchise operations, and of course, design. Megan is helping lead the charge in the newest initiative of Next Brands with the planned expansion throughout northern Michigan with two of its brands through its new modular container location concept. The multi-brand franchise is creating an innovative approach to spearheading rapid franchise expansions by using low-cost shipping containers to help quickly open a complete fully operating restaurant location and cutting development off by half. So development time, I should say, by half. I'm fascinated by this, but we want to get into some other topics before we get into the container store. So welcome to the show, Megan.
Thank you so much. That was an amazing introduction. So thank you.
Yeah, that was an awesome introduction. You know, it made me think of what's the next brand? Next brand. What's the next brand? Very cool, right? So this constant evolution is very neat. Question for you, Megan. So I understand that your dad was the founder of the company. So what was your entry point into franchise, into the family business?
So it was really right after I graduated college and having the need for a source of income. And also at the same time, our original company, the construction company, needed a facility manager for one of our larger clients. So I got introduced at the very ground level of construction, which is just calling contractors, calling trade people to provide maintenance services at one of our retailers. And they were a lumber retailer and had a large warehouse and a lot of employees that didn't know how to drive a forklift. So there was a lot of late night calls to fix overhead doors and forklift damage. And through that, just started progressing and taking on more responsibilities within the company. I think having my dad as one of my prime examples in business was good because he's constantly evolving and thinking and thinking about the next move and not just resting on his laurels. So I kind of take that approach in business as well, as how can I improve at what I'm already doing and how can we grow this? And I think within the company and within all of our companies, that's how we all came to be.
Wow.
I love this idea of working with family. I've not done it successfully, so I'm always just enamored with those that are doing it well, and you and your family are doing it well, Megan. What do you think makes it work? What are some of the benefits or even detriments of working with your family?
Yeah, it's such a good question. Working with family provides you such a comfortable area of open communication. So when you're discussing next steps or big ideas, or even at the macro level or micro level, sorry, things within business, you can kind of have more of a free-flowing conversation just because you're so comfortable with them because they're your family and you grew up with them. Everybody who is not blood related to me in the company has been around for 30 so years. So they have also known me a majority of my life, and it just helps with the conversation and the culture within the company. There's no stuffiness, there's no rules and regulations. And I just really think it brings about a more honest way of communicating with people.
Beautiful. Do you have other siblings that are involved in the business with you?
Yeah, I do. My brother is our COO, and we call him the chief Swiss cheesemaker because he is definitely more business number focused than me. I am a big picture relationship builder type of person, and he is definitely bottom line person. So we butt heads a lot on that. But at the end of the day, we've never really had a business disagreement bleed into any sort of like relationship that we have personally.
It's amazing how you're very young, Megan, how clear you are on where your gifting lies, which is, as you pointed out, more kind of big picture, where are things going? And then you also have these beautiful relational skills. And at the same time, there's this respect and this appreciation for the gifting that your brother has, your dad has, others on the team have. Was this always the case, or were you like me at this age where I just thought I knew everything? And meaning I wasn't willing to learn things. My ego frequently was in the way when I was your age. So you seem like someone that's open to learning from others, respecting their opinions, and vice versa. You're getting it where you're able to share your opinions.
One, imposter syndrome is strong. So I've been working on that.
That's what it was for me.
I have been working on that, but I think honestly, like working in the franchise industry has helped me realize that there are a lot of people out there who have certain strengths, but make mistakes because they don't know what they don't know. And their bullheadedness kind of will impact their ability to do business. So I am not self-confident enough to say that I know anything. And I recognize there are plenty of things out there that I don't know. So I'm constantly looking to learn and make connections with people because there is always an option out there where you might not have the answer and you can reach out to somebody in the industry that you think has gone through it and they can guide you. I had an experience recently with, multi-unit owners. We were really pushing. I was really pushing to get this deal done. Hindsight, it wasn't a great deal. But I was talking to an individual in the industry and he, was like, you might just have to walk away from it. And that's going to be hard because you want those units signed. And I was like, I can't do that. That seems insane. And then, when the deal was presented to my brother and my father pointed out there's a lot of things that I didn't take into account with it. And at that time, I didn't hear it well. I didn't receive it well for a couple of days, but I took the weekend and slept on it and thought that it was definitely the right move. And I feel a lot more comfortable now with what we did, but it's just one of those learning things. I'm sorry. I think I went off on a tangent there, but just, being able to be like, I have not been in this position. Have you been in this position? Tell me about it. And then having somebody else say, yes, we've had to do that, or I didn't do this. And then we just had to give somebody their money back because it wasn't a good fit. And so, yeah, there's a lot I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I think it takes a lot of emotional intelligence to be able to look at our blind spots in general. And then also to be able to take a step back and say, wait a second, I really, really want this deal to go through, but maybe it isn't quite the right thing, or it's not the right thing right now, or maybe this person isn't quite the right fit. Can you kind of talk to that emotional intelligence, hitting the pause button for a minute?
Yeah, exactly. So it's hard. I mean, in a relationship like franchise or in a business like franchising, it's relationship driven, especially with our culture, our background, and the brands we're bringing to market. They're very much a culture of like family values, putting, like enmeshing your life and your business together and not in an unhealthy way. So there's a lot of relationship building that goes into, lead prospecting and finding franchise perspectives. And at the end of the day, if it's not very comfortable, it's probably not going to be successful in the long run. But at the end of the day, it's also still a business. So it has to make sense number-wise.
And this is what we have to remember. It is a business. It has to be profitable for everyone's sake. And if it's, like you said, not a good fit, it's not a good fit. You can't put a square peg in a round hole, even if you like this person or want to make that commission or whatever it is, right? Sometimes we have to say, this is someone that doesn't fit within our culture. And you guys have a very specific family type of culture. What are you guys doing that nurtures that fosters that keeps that family feel going, even with non-family, right? That you've sort of embraced and made part of your extension. What do you guys do to nurture that and foster it?
So we are constantly celebrating everybody's wins, either professionally or personally. There's an all company email or Teams thread where you send out congratulations and updates about people's lives, not just professionally. As I mentioned, my coworker just had a child, so that went out this morning. That's very exciting news. We always hold at least one, sometimes two very large gatherings a year that are just not work focused. So there's no presentation first and then drinks later. It's usually just like a nice barbecue at either the owners, so my dad's house in Michigan, or our president has hosted a few times at his house in Michigan. My dad's also had a lot of the company down to his own house in Florida. And just accessibility. There's never any chain of command really, where in other companies I think there's a lot of requirements. Yeah. Like hierarchies where you communicate to somebody directly above you to communicate with that person, and then where you can just pick up the phone, text or call or email everybody in our company. Everybody knows you, and they're not like, well, tell somebody else to tell me to do it. And then, as next brands came along, Beefaroo, the first brand that we wanted to help bring to the franchise market, was a family business, and it was being run for 50 years by a family in Rockford, Illinois. Their culture was very similar to ours. We felt like it was a very good fit. The children helped run the restaurant with their parents, and I think it just really spoke to us about how well the brand would fit in with our company.
Nice. I'm kind of fascinated with your quest for knowledge. I'm fascinated with that innovative side of you. You said that your dad was an innovator, and there you are your whole life, seeing him innovate, seeing him, like you said, not rest on his laurels, not say, okay, we met this success, now we're done. And I also hear you talking about learning. I'd love to hear more about your educational journey. Like every time you ran into this obstacle, you went to school for this, and how you keep building on that.
Yeah, I don't think I really became not obsessed, but in the pursuit of knowledge until I got involved in franchising, when I realized that they offered courses, through the CFE program to help expand your knowledge, both within the world of franchising and business minded people. So you could help on, they have specific classes to understand P&Ls and to, look at as a restaurant runner, like cost of goods and labor percentages, best practices there, and how to navigate interpersonal relationships. So they really have a lot of courses on nearly everything. So I got really excited about that because I felt that it would not only bring value to my role in the company, but also help me expand my knowledge. And then I'd be able to speak on it and feel less impostery. And then as I achieved that, I want to pursue my MBA. That's in the upcoming years, just so I can, again, know what I'm speaking about more in terms of like numbers and business focus and less relationship. I'm a very goal-oriented person. So I like to have something on the horizon. And I feel a little lost if I don't have something that I'm working towards.
Interesting.
Wow. So those goals, are they just business goals, or do you also have like some personal things that say, this year I'm going to be, do, and have this?
Yeah, they're personal goals a lot too. I'm actually a little adrift right now because I've just completed my last one, but last year was to complete a triathlon. I previously didn't know how to swim, so I really wanted to push myself to do that. I mean, I could like doggy paddle, but my wife was like, "You're crazy. You're going to die. I've seen you in the ocean." Like, so that was, I mean, it was last August and I started in January. I was like, this is when I will start. And I just getting in the pool was the first hurdle, like, getting used to that. So that took up a good part of the year, just building my endurance and my stamina and my confidence back. Because, during the pandemic, I really took a step back from working out outside of the house. And then most recently, I climbed Mount St. Helens. I'm in Portland, Oregon, and that was an amazing day. I spent a lot of time just on the stair stepper at my gym, making sure I was ready. That's another great example, though, of things I knew I didn't know. So I had an old college acquaintance who lives out here. She's like a professional mountaineer. I reached out to her to ask if she could just provide me any guidance to how I could achieve this goal. And she was so nice. She was just jumped right into it and was like, we usually go around this time. I'd love to take you with me. She sent me an Excel sheet of everything I needed. She sat on the phone with me to tell me how to dress. And there was a moment where I almost didn't listen to her. She was like, overpack food, and because you're going to burn a lot more calories than you need. And I was like, I typically go out for a run and I'm fine. Like I have a banana and I'll get my 2 hours in, whatever. So I was a little bit more confident, but the very last moment I went and I bought like goos that you use for marathons and everything. And like 4 hours into the hike, I really needed it. So I was like so happy that I listened to her, that, I had this team with me that was going with me at the pace that I was comfortable with. And it was just another one of those like blaring examples of like, you should always listen to somebody who has more experience than you.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
I like
just,
that.
it's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting how it's across various areas of your life that you set a goal, whether it's a professional goal or athletic goal or personal goal, and then you go in search of those that are more knowledgeable. Imagine that, right? And you're humble enough, and that goes to the EQ SQ you were talking about, Tracy, humble enough to take the advice and to ask questions, and then more importantly, to apply it, right? To actually apply it. I've seen people ask for advice and, end up doing it their way anyway.
Not take that good advice.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So, Megan, I want to shift gears just a little bit. Before we get into this whole container thing, which I'm chomping at the bit to get into, I want to ask, you're very reflective and you have very high EQ, SQ, as Tracy pointed out. When you look back at your life, was there ever like a pivotal moment, an epiphany, a book, a person, something that happened that sort of set the pace then for the next few years? Or changed your mindset in any way?
You know, I can't really pinpoint the specific time, but I know it was in my early 20s, and I had just moved to Chicago, and I was sort of, for I don't know how to put this very politically correctly, but I just sort of like got embarrassed with myself that I wasn't doing anything for myself. Like that I was, I was just, my parents had supported me a lot throughout my life. They supported me through college, and I took a long time to complete college. And, I always felt like because of that, I was a little bit behind other people who had done it, pulled themselves up by their bootstraps and had done it themselves. So in my early 20s, I just really wanted to actually do something that I felt I deserved. And, like working towards something is very important to me, and not having things handed to you, especially now that I'm in a different position and my father did start the company. There's always going to be that little bit of, and this might be my own, personal insecurity, but there's always going to be that little thing that you're not sure if people are thinking about in the back of their head, when it's a family run company. Do you deserve to be here? And so I feel like I just am constantly trying to be the best version of myself in work and in life, so that I feel I deserve to be where I am.
That's so great.
I
Talk
know.
about not resting on your laurels, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love that. Megan, how can people reach you if they want to get in touch with you?
Yeah. So I'm on LinkedIn, Megan Rosen, CFE, my new certification. You can reach me at nextbrands.com or info@nextbrands.com.
Awesome. And I know Rebecca has been dying to ask you this question.
Well, yes, I am. I want to learn everything about these container things. But I also want to just take a deep breath, because Megan, that was a mouthful to take an honest look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, am I living up to my potential, or am I riding on the coattails of my family that's providing me opportunities? And what can I do to step it up and be all that I can be? The word embarrassment is what hit me, because the opposite of that is a sense of pride from hard work and learning and staying the course and succeeding on your own merit, right? So, but sometimes it takes a wake-up call like that, right? Where we take an honest look at ourselves and say, this, am I being all that I can be? And what do I have to do that? So I'm proud of you. That
Thank you.
was amazing. Just
Yeah.
amazing.
I mean, and also, it should be mentioned, this is a woman in franchising podcast, that, women do have an uphill battle, I think, when being taken seriously. And I've definitely gone through a few iterations of trying to figure out like how I feel in, starting in construction in a predominantly male run company, industry, like how I can communicate and still be myself without changing myself too much. I went through maybe I'll only wear suits and I won't wear makeup, or I don't need to, what should I do to make sure I'm taken seriously or presenting in a way that people won't automatically make a fast assumption about me. But at the end, I don't know, I guess in my 30s, I've gotten to be like, people are always going to make an assumption about you, and to just be comfortable with who you are. And that's definitely a 30s moment where it's just like, I could not, you don't have to always have your hair done and makeup done and look perfect and still be taken seriously in business, because I've been on plenty of Zoom calls where it's just a guy in a hoodie. And
Me
I
too.
guarantee he didn't sit at the mirror for 30 minutes, thinking about that. Like I had this conversation with a woman in franchising, at Springboard. And I said, sometimes I work on East Coast time. And she was like, how early do you have to wake up to like do your hair and everything? And I was like, no, if I'm on a call at 6:30, I look like it's 6:30 a.m. Like I'm not in my robe, but my hair is back and I don't have any makeup on. And that kind of stuck with me that, she feels that way. And I was like, but our counterparts don't do that. Like they're not getting up and putting a full face of makeup on, making sure that the mousse is in their hair perfectly and that they have a suit jacket on. So I've kind of tried to ease into looking professional, but not overly like that, because at the end of the day, I still have other work I need to do.
It's about being authentic, right?
Yeah.
Being real. We tend to connect better with people that way. We find them more trustworthy. But as I pointed out, at your age, I didn't have this kind of emotional intelligence that you had. I did puff up. I, pretended I was something that I wasn't. So there's a lot to be said at your maturity level and your emotional and social intelligence that you go, okay, I still feel like an imposter, but I'm going to be authentic and I'm going to be real and I'm going to keep learning and I'm going to keep asking for advice and I'm going to keep setting goals. I don't have to be perfect just yet, right?
I'm going to send this to my therapist. She'll have a lot of different, she'll be like, I don't know who this is.
This person. Yeah. Oh, well, I love you. That's for sure. This is amazing. All right, let's shift gears. Let's talk containers. Tell me everything about containers and this direction that you guys are going where you can get food concepts up faster now.
Yeah, so this is really exciting. And I think it's one of those things that it's almost like a butterfly wing effect. This might be the whole catalyst that, why we ended up going into construction, how our trajectory of our company went and everything to bring us to this moment. So the container model is really my dad's baby. He thought about during the pandemic, looking at all of these areas, all these restaurants that had closed indoor dining, but were still doing a killing with the drive-through, but also that there were a lot of restaurants out there that didn't have that luxury because they were in line and their only option was seating or curbside pickup, which you really couldn't do the volume. Also, smaller communities don't have access to a lot of like the bigger brands or more options because of lack of real estate and and companies feeling like they don't have a demographic that can support the size of labor that you need to run a traditional brick and mortar. So it took, I would say, probably about 16 months from conception to actually getting everything organized. So we work with engineers, architects, people in the restaurant industry, and obviously our construction team to figure out how we can take 2 shipping containers and actually make it into a restaurant. And to our success, we've finally got our first one open. Second one is on the way. And the biggest hurdle was, a lot of people say, oh, well, there's all of these modular concepts, but they don't have a hood. They don't have a fryer. They don't have a steamer. They don't have an oven. They don't have a full kitchen. So that was our biggest hurdle. And we managed to pull it off. And the one that's operating is in a very small community called Rose City, Michigan. I'll pull out my Michigander. It's like right up here. Michigan is a mitten. I don't know if
yeah, we learned that the other day. Yeah, that's funny.
That's but the whole community has like 800 people, I think, and then the surrounding area is a couple hundred more. But the container only needs 3 people to work at all times versus a traditional brick and mortar, which probably needs about 6 to 7. And you need about 24 on the roster, whereas a container, you need about 12 and a full-time manager. So, we were able to find enough labor, but still keep it low enough that the cost to operate is low. And, if we hit our goal, it's a very realistic goal of about $1,500 a day is our break even. And we've been exceeding that every day lately. So very
Wow.
exciting.
And this is a trailer that's in a fixed location.
Yes, it's in a fixed location. There's a lot of, if you talk about growing and learning, there's a lot of learning for this one. It's definitely on one of the smallest plots that we have done. It's a little over a quarter acre. Now we're going to say you need at least a half acre. And most of it was fabricated off site. And then you bring it in and you just put the final FF&E, you hook it up to the utilities and you're ready to go.
Interesting.
It's
Yeah,
just, it's fascinating. I love this container idea. So it's not a food truck and it's not a massive brick and mortar footprint. It's this container, this modular thing that can be run in a smaller space more efficiently, and still very profitably, but the cost to entry and the speed to entry to getting in business has been dramatically reduced.
Yeah, that's actually one of the best parts about it is traditional brick and mortar fast casual restaurants. All in is probably going to be close to $1 million investment to get open, to get running. And, that's hoping you find a second generation that was probably a restaurant before. This is anywhere from 300 to 600,000. And the only variable is going to be how far the utilities are. So the development timeline is a lot faster than, the 8 to 12 months that you'll need if you're building a drive-through or an end cap.
Wow. This is amazing. I'm hoping you'll send us some pictures of your first location so we can share it on our sites. Because this is the future, guys. It really is the future. And this will play really well also, Megan, right? In tertiary markets instead of smaller communities where this makes sense, right? Am I wrong on that?
Yes. Yeah, no, that's exactly it. And yeah, I have a great tour that I can link to, or I'll send you the link to. So if your viewers and listeners would like to see it, it's really cool. But yes, exactly what you said. It plays really well in the smaller markets of people who often feel a little overlooked by other corporations. The Rose City location had one McDonald's and then two other restaurants. Unfortunately, McDonald's, maybe I shouldn't name them, a competitor with Golden Arches, didn't have a great reputation because I think the owners were just like, well, we don't have any competitors. So why do I need to care about customer service and quality of food and everything like that? Where Beefaroo offers actual real food. It's, not made, it's all made to order. It's not made in the morning and then heated up. All of the ingredients are real ingredients that are, like if you order an avocado sandwich, that avocado is getting cut for that sandwich right then. Everything's made in-house, and I keep saying made to order, but that's the differentiator, and it's delicious, while also keeping the price cost down. One of our missions and something that I personally would like to see as we grow is fighting food insecurity. So, that's part of our company culture, is connecting with local schools, hosting lunches. But also we offered a 10% discount for residents. So we handed out discount resident cards at partnering partner businesses in Rose City, so that, we could give back to the community in that way and honor people that should be our returning customers with discounts just because they live there.
We're local.
Yeah.
Residents. Yeah. I want to learn more, but girls, we're at the top of the hour here. I hate this. Just starting to get exciting. So thank you so much, Megan, for joining us today. This was very insightful. It was great to learn more about your heart also. So thank you for being so transparent and forthcoming. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. This was great. I can't believe it's I can't believe that.
Like,
Went back so fast.
So Tracy, over to you. What are your final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm sitting here really contemplating that idea of social corporate responsibility. I love it. I think, between the whole modular concept, it's so modern, plus the idea of giving back to the community, it's bound to succeed. That's just so important, I think. And the other thing that really impressed me about you, actually, and the interview itself, was this whole concept of building on the idea of past generations, constantly making things better. Like your dad has an idea and keeps improving on it. You are constantly improving on his idea. You're on his ideas. You're constantly improving upon your own knowledge base. I think that's so important that we don't become complacent. One of the things that I really can't stand is complacency. And I see what you're doing as the opposite. It's the anti-complacency, and I'm really digging it. So thank you for being here and for sharing with us, because I really gleaned a lot from it.
Thank you so much. The old saying, evolve or die, right? So, so thank you. I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough.
Thank you, Megan. And to the rest of you listening in today, we appreciate you stopping in. Share this with others in the franchise space. They're going to love it. We'll see you next week on another episode of the Franchise Woman Podcast.